Because you can tell somebody that it is under arrest or the functional equivalent, but if they've never been in a situation where they understand what functional equivalent means, they can't apply it. Mm-hmm. And then they don't understand that your 6 attaches after a true bill of indictment. They can't even get the basics. Mm-hmm. Because it is overwhelming to understand how our court system works and how we just don't throw people in handcuffs and put them in jail. That's the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So I think, we have to continue this education. We bring people out of BLET and we bring them into our agencies. And I try to do that. I try to give them pieces of paper that explain in a logical way when these cases apply. But we have to continue reminding them, and not just on a screen in service that we click through, because we have a lot on our plates.
So you got into patrol 5 years. You had a critical incident.
Yeah, a critical incident happened on my shift.
Yeah. How did that change you any?
It changed a lot. You have gut checks a lot of times. I mean, probably the first week you're in field training all the way through, there's a gut check every once in a while. That's a gut check. And I'd field trained somebody, and that was his first night out of field training. And for the first time, that was my first trainee, and you want your first trainee to succeed. Mm-hmm. But you never expect that their first night on their own, something bad's going to happen.
You went to investigations?
I worked general crimes.
General crimes?
But my specialty was child sexual assault victims and child physical assault. Mm-hmm. So crimes against children, crimes against families was my specialty, and I love major case.
How much caseload did you have in that field of child assaults and violence toward children?
I would average about 100 cases a year.
That's a lot.
That's a lot for Lenoir. And Caldwell County is astronomical as far as the sheriff's office. I'm not sure how those investigators juggle all of it, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And so for all those cases that are reported, and some of them are unfounded. Now, some of them, and unfounded, whether that be I don't have enough to say it did happen or unsubstantiated. But for all those cases, think about the cases that aren't reported.
The number of cases in a year, felony. And what was that number? About?
I believe it was 1,200. I believe that's what the number was given to me yesterday. It was 1,200 cases, roundabouts, come in from all of our law enforcement agencies to that one office. And those prosecutors, we've been down some prosecutors, so they've had vacancies there. So you're looking at 3 prosecutors reading 1,200 files and also handling other matters. They don't just read files all day. They have to handle, cases that are ongoing. And out of those, we've had 5 jury trials, I believe, this year. And that takes a lot on the justice system in itself, because they have to pick the jurors, and that takes a long time, and there's a whole lot that goes into this.
So I'll stop you right there for a minute, because out of those 1,200 approximately, how many go to trial in a year?
Well, they've had 5.
That they couldn't fill up the classes. Right. This was after a couple of high-profile negative media incidences up north that had nothing to do with anybody in North Carolina even. But that nobody wanted to come sign up and take basic law enforcement training. So that's improving now.
Yeah, we're hopefully going to graduate 7. And that's still small, but it's better than it was. I've taught classes where we had 4 or 5.
So that's insane to me.
For you and I, and going back to the education that we started with in the beginning, talking about the importance of documentation. That is where that need for education comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And to know how to get those facts or those observations on a piece of paper.
Why it's important for law enforcement is you have to be so detailed in your word. I mean, it all starts in a simple police report. That's where everything starts.
Everything. And what you observed. Like, it's not, I went to this location for this call and then I cleared. It's what you saw. It's when you walked in the side door, the front door, everything is perspective.
Yeah.
So I need to know, if you walked in the front door, what room did you walk into? What did you observe? Was the decedent supine? Were they, what were their hands doing? What do they look like? What did you smell? What did you hear?
And the reason that what you're saying is important is because there's an educated defense attorney that's going to pick it apart, saying, well, you did not specify this in your report. What color shirt was he wearing, by the way? Because you remember what door you came in, what color shirt was he wearing?
Right.
And the more detail you can get in that report, and I accredit that I didn't have to go to court too awful many times because of how good my reports were.
That's exactly right.
It'll keep you out of court.
That's exactly right.
If you just do a half-ass report and it goes to trial, there's a high probability they're going to call you into court because they want to crucify you on the stand. Right. If you take time and write your reports to the best you can, or higher elevated, just not because everybody on your shift, well, this is how they do it, and so I'll do it that way, and supervisor sign off on it. You take your time and you put extra effort into it, it'll keep you out of court.
I agree.